to the Sci-Fi Roundtable. I'm John Cronshaw.
And I'm Shane Thomas.
This is a show about science fiction. The Sci-Fi Roundtable is a group on Facebook. There's about 2,000 of us in there now, a lot of authors, a lot of fans. And what we do is go deep into sci-fi topics. So every few weeks, we're going to have different people on here talking about cool subjects, geek out a bit, and hopefully have a lot of fun doing it.
The group did just pass 2,000 members, many of which are authors, but we also have a subgroup which has just started with about 80 members, most of whom are authors that somehow find the time to read. Check out the show notes. We'd love to have you join in as well. There's free books and reviews from our fellow Roundtable members.
Tell me a little bit about you then, Shane. I mean, you're an author, you've got a blog.
Well, I've been writing since 2014, and I focus primarily on science fantasy. I write a series called The Anki Legacies, and it's split into 3 different storylines. One follows a humanoid monkey called Hanuman as he travels through space with his friends fighting magical dragon people called the Anki. The second storyline follows a cyborg that travels back in time to Paleolithic era, where he has to interact with other hominins that were around before Homo sapiens became the only humans on the planet. And the final storyline in the Anki Legacies is a bit of it's very close to metafiction. It's about a guy named Rob Rogers who is a traveling salesperson and conspiracy theory blogger, and he discovers that conspiracy theories are real. On top of my writing, I also run the blog sciencefantasyhub.com, where I shamelessly promote myself and fellow authors, including many members of the Sci-Fi Roundtable, by book reviews, and also I've done a bunch of video interviews with various authors whom I've enjoyed their works. And there's a bunch of other fun stuff on there, so after you get done with the podcast, you ought to go check it out.
You had me on Magic Monkeys, to be honest. So. That sounds awesome. So definitely have to check that out. I write fantasy, sci-fi stuff. I've got a post-apoc series, which the first book is that's called Wizard of the Wasteland. And then I've got Knight of the Wasteland, King of the Wastelands. And then I've got my Ravenglass Chronicles, which is an epic fantasy serial. So these come out monthly, and each book is inspired by the tarot. So I kind of meditate on a tarot card, and it informs the next step of my character's journey. That is a lot of fun to do, I have to say. So,
and, you know, as we were getting ready for the show, I took a plane trip and I went on Amazon and noticed that your first was free. So I downloaded, read it, and really enjoyed it. You should see my review up soon.
Yeah, well, it'll beat the 2-star ones that say that it's not a book because it's a short story.
I don't understand why they don't just scroll down and look at the page count. It's right there on Amazon.
I had one recently as well, which was clearly a review for a different book and referred to characters and storylines that didn't.
You never want to speak to when someone shares their opinion about your work. It's theirs, and as an author, you really don't have the right to comment. But I feel like that would really tempt me to point out that it is indeed not my work that they are reviewing.
I think it was Patrick Rothfuss. He did some responses to people who've reviewed his third book in the Kingkiller Chronicles series. I don't know if you've seen that at all.
I haven't, no.
It's brilliant because he's been working on the book for years and it's not out yet. And some people have set up pages doing 5-star reviews, and he's like, you know, I'm really glad people have left these reviews. This is obviously evidence of time travelers. And then he just goes on this big thing about, like, can you help me? Because I've no idea where this story is going. Can you tell me what I wrote so I can do it? One thing about the Sci-Fi Roundtable as well, which I think is awesome, is the fact that there's a lot of authors who are helping each other and bigging each other up and, you know, doing all these things like, I don't know, podcasts and things like that. And there's the new anthology.
Among the members, we curate collections based on themes, and the latest one that is, by the time this podcast airs, it'll have just been out a little while. It's called Gods of Clay. I haven't read any of the stories yet, but I have read work by a number of the authors that are involved, and I'm really looking forward to it. So check out Gods of Clay. The show notes will have a universal link for you. In preparation for this, since John and I are speaking for a group of 2,000 members, I thought I'd post within the group just to make sure we mentioned everything about the group, and a couple of the members had some funny comments that I won't repeat, but a couple other authors had some things that I thought I'd quote and attribute to them. Stephen Hunt said, "The Sci-Fi Roundtable is a great community of writers and readers with a love of science fiction and fantasy and a keen interest in supporting those creating new works." And I couldn't agree more. It's been a great experience going in, talking with other authors about science fiction, fantasy, and the craft of writing, but also as a reader. And I will heartily admit, as I do on the Science Fantasy Hub, that yes, I write books, but it's only because I love them so much and I'm a huge fanboy. So I end up spending just as much time being a reviewer and book promoter as I do actually writing my own stuff, just because I love it every bit as much as creating my own stories. Another author, Adam Joseph Stump, said, "The Roundtable is a think tank filled with genius weirdos or weirdo geniuses designed to encourage, promote, and hone the skills of sci-fi writers." I definitely can agree. There's been opportunities to find beta readers, get critiques, help one another out with marketing, a very supportive group. But that's not really the focus of this podcast. What this podcast is going to be about is us finding topics that we love about science fiction and fantasy and delving deeper into them. John and I lined up. We have 10 on the books so far after this introduction. And some of the topics off the top of my head are, we're going to talk to one author, and we'll have guest authors as well. So it's not just going to be the two of us. One of them is going to talk about strong female characters in fantasy fiction. I'm looking forward to that. I've always been a fan of strong women characters. Another author wanted to talk about turning mythology into modern fiction. Another author wanted to talk about world building in the ocean. So that is going to be a fun topic to discuss. This show is going to be exploring the various topics within genre fiction that fascinate us.
We come in at this as fans more than anything else, so we're here to learn and we're here to geek out.
Yeah, do buy our books, but we're just one of you, really.
Have you ever seen pyrosomes?
No.
Look these up. They're insane. They are these creatures that live under the sea that are made up of around 100,000 organisms, and they are like these giant worm things. Some of them are bigger than blue whales. They are the stuff of nightmares. So.
Great. I'll check it out. One of the Sci-Fi Knights lives in my hometown, and he does biology and likes to draw ocean animals and stuff like that. So I'm going to look this up and then get the dirt on them from him as well, because if they're creepy, I'm sure he's onto them already.
I have been thinking about these creatures as a basis for a dystopian story, like imagining the idea of having a society where you're all kind of in this symbiotic relationship with everyone else and linked by flesh. And it's more horror, I suppose. It's like seeing creatures like that and they just, spark all these ideas.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to the ocean world building one, because in my anthology for that Lark series, the Anki Legacy series, I wrote one on the moon Enceladus, how it erupts geysers of liquid water. And I imagined that there was these crustacean sentient sea creatures that lived under there and, encountered the first human colonists that visited it. It was fun thinking about things in terms of swimming around instead of walking, and how it would affect, a lot of my books have a lot of martial arts. I have a martial art background. And so everything devolves to a fist fight. And it's interesting to think what it would be like to try to fight underwater.
What kind of martial arts is it you do?
I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai, a bit of wrestling, boxing, and Taekwondo. I was training. I had aspired at one point to do amateur mixed martial arts competitions.
So you're not to be messed with is the... The best place to find us is to go onto Facebook and look for Sci-Fi Roundtable. Search for that. Join the group if you're interested.
And if you're just a reader, we have a group that isn't based on boring writer talk. It's called Reading the Roundtable of Science Fiction and Fantasy. It's a smaller group for now, but you can get access to whenever we run our books for free. We share links in that group. We share our reviews, and there's permanently free books in a post there. And every once in a while, we do activities, and we'll definitely be sharing the podcast in there. So that's the Sci-Fi Roundtable for writers and Reading the Roundtable of Science Fiction and Fantasy for readers.
So where's the best place to find you then online?
You can go to sciencefantasyhub.com. That is all my domain. And if you're interested in my books, there's a subsection for the Anki Legacies.
If you look for John Cronshaw's Author Diary podcast, you can follow my writing journey on that podcast if that's something you're interested in. I'm also helping a friend write his first novel on the Stop Booking Around podcast, so do check those out. And we will see you next time with some more guests and some awesome topics to talk about. Cannot wait.
Look forward to seeing you guys when we got some serious stuff to talk about.
So until next time, cheerio.